Mic testing. Mic testing. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the workshop Green Space. This is a joint workshop that we're doing with the Cardano Foundation and Cardashift. We'll tell you a little bit more about the adventure that we're having in Web3 and a lot more to come in this exciting session. To begin with, hi everyone, once more, I am Trish. I am a Cardashift co-contributor and also have the social impact lead alongside working with international relations for the project. Now, to begin with, I want you to imagine that you're in Uganda, where 30% of the population does not have access to clean drinking water. And you, as a social entrepreneur, are developing a solution to provide clean drinking water. Now, if you look at the impact you're generating, the very first impact, I would say, is you're providing potable water and you're helping especially children avoid waterborne diseases. The second one, I would say, is you're cutting CO2 emissions. And let me tell you why. Because most local populations in Uganda use firewood to be able to boil their water. So that's your second area of impact. And the third is with the solution, especially the one we're talking about, which is spouts of water, is the one project we learned from our colleague here from Unis Social Business, is there are also creating jobs and local employment by having these people distribute ceramic water distribution. To bring all of this back into perspective, what we learned from this example is that much of the social impact generated is not something you can go put in your accounting books. It's not quantified. And that's where we're at the forefront of trying to tokenize as well as measure and scale impact. And Cardashift, we're on a mission to do exactly that. And to tell you a bit more, I'm going to make a very quick segue and introduce you to the Cardashift co-contributor. He's a prominent ecosystem advocate and also the co-founder of Cardashift. Please give a round of applause for Mr. Vincent Kachamenda.
Hello. Cool. Thank you, Trish. Nice to have you here, everybody. And it's a real pleasure, actually, to meet with you here. I wanted to give a brief overview of who is Cardashift, what's our accomplishments so far, and let the floor to the people with whom we're building on a day-to-day basis what we believe could be tomorrow a driving force to change and to transform social and environmental challenges we see today. You know, academics, NGOs, politics are all saying the same thing. Priority investments to the tune of $5 to $6 trillion a year is needed to change and to avert actual and future climate and social storms. And there are solutions. We cannot say there are no solutions. Plenty of ambitious and highly motivated founders are already having solutions around the world. But the problem as of now is quite simple. They do not get enough funding. And especially when they get the funding, maybe they don't get enough support to help them thrive. And also, when we're talking about positive impact, the thing is, it's not something which is financially viable for them. It does not have any value most of the time. And let me tell you something. What if we had a new tool, to help us do that? And that's what we believe at Cardashift. We truly believe in blockchain technologies as a tool to help entrepreneurs around the world and let impact and profit coexist, and it's a fantastic enabler. So what we decided to do, basically, we decided to create a large-scale impact investing ecosystem on blockchain, and we help the entrepreneurs there coming from the real world, tackling social and environmental issues, to find new ways to have a business model that conciliate impact and profitability. And the first stepping stone for that, which we will definitely discuss more about in the coming session with the different persons around there is our community-run Launchpad. What's Launchpad? It's an investment platform, and we did our first batch of projects quite a few months ago now. I think it started 2 months ago. The project came in, and our community decided which one will get selected, go through funding, have support, get tokenization support, impact support, etc., etc. But before coming to them, I want to give you a brief overview of the key achievements we had the last few months. So first things first, we have a lot of 10s today, so the number 10 is what we like at the moment. So we raised earlier this year in late January $10 million from private investors in our token. And now we're here with the first Launchpad, a community for more of 10,000 people at the moment. Half of them subscribed to our governance phase, so they decided, I want to take part in this community governance. I want to say who's going to be the projects that will go further in the coming months, in the coming weeks. And among them, 70% voted for the projects they want to see. And we had 10 real-world projects. Out of 200 plus applications, we pre-selected almost 10 projects. We pushed them to our community, and now we're here. I know there are a lot of projects which we pushed here. They're here today, and I wanted to really welcome you and thank you for everything you've done. It's been a crazy adventure, and now I think it's a right timing to announce the two first projects that were voted last week for a pre-funding support, and the two founders will come on stage, tell a bit more what all their business is about, and also how they plan, at least give us a first glimpse of how they think Web3 and blockchain can help them in their business. And I think we can go live. Thank you. Oh. Yeah.
Here it is.
Thank you. So yeah, Revolt and Pixo, two amazing projects. Trish, I'll let you the floor. Thanks a lot, and see you.
So let's again, clap really loud when we welcome these projects, because let me tell you, they've been through a community phase for the past month. It's been crazy where they've had to interact on a daily basis with the community. And when I talk about community, it's a community built on Discord. So while they are digital, it's real-time interactions with Ask Me Anything sessions. They had a demo day where they pitched their project. So coming out of this process for the past 4 weeks, going through a voting phase that ended a week ago, and these guys outshined when it came to securing votes. Let us give a big round of applause to Ben and Raphael for the two entrepreneurs that are heading the projects we're talking about. Come on, come on. Yes, let's go. Take a seat. Okay, so this is Raphael, and that is Ben. So say hi, guys, like usual.
Hello, everyone.
Okay. You need to start with the same way we did the demo day prep, okay? Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Hello, I'm Raphael.
Go ahead, introduce yourself and...
Okay, so I'm going to pitch now, right?
You're going to pitch now.
Okay, good. So, hi, everyone. I'm Benjamin. I'm the co-founder of Pixo. At Pixo, we are building the biggest network of reusable food containers. Every single day, 30,000 tons of plastics are dumped into the oceans. Most of these plastics come from single-use packaging you can find when you buy groceries or when you have a takeaway at restaurants, right? We want to get rid of all of them and replace them with reusable containers. How to do that? We developed three things at Pixo. First, a network of partners container suppliers, logistic companies, washing facilities that will help us to have a plug-and-play solution for restaurants, grocery stores, supermarkets, to have this reusable ecosystem. Second, we developed a technology to track and trace every single reusable containers. This helps our clients to manage stocks and to manage this loop of reusable containers. Secondly, we developed a we developed a technology to incentivize end users like yourself, consumers, to use a solution instead of single-use packaging and to bring back your dirty containers into the network for another use. We raised last year 7 million euros already, not in tokens yet, in like equity and debt, normal way, to develop our products and to deploy our first restaurants, because we have big partnerships such as McDonald's, and today we have more than 300 McDonald's restaurants deployed in France, and it will scale all the year. Basically, this year we will manage more than 1 million reusable containers, and our goal is that in only 10 years we will get rid of all single-use packaging. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ben. Fun fact, you can also get your Happy Meal in a Pixo reusable container. So,
true.
Please head over and buy your Happy Meals. Next, let's give it up for Raphael. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Trish. So I'm Raphael. I'm the proud and very happy co-founder of Revolt. And in the name of the whole team, I have to say that we are very honored and excited to have been selected for this batch of 2 projects for Cardashift. So what do we do? What the pain we are solving? Today we know that most of our cars' destiny is to be trashed after 10 years. And this isn't possible. In the coming world we want to build together, that things are always programmed obsolescence. So we decided to launch the first network of garage dedicated to repairing and maintaining the electric and hybrid cars. To do so, we are building workshops for heavy maintenance and repair. We have a mobile fleet for light and easy maintenance. We are building an academy to train the new job of e-mechanics, which are mostly electricians, informaticians, and mechanics. And we have also a label which is dedicated to certify the state of health of your car. And all of this, why do we do that? In the aim of making your car last 100 years and to transmit your car to your children and your grandchildren. That's it.
Do you want to say what the end vision of Revolt is?
The end vision of Revolt is is not to create a world like Mad Max, as you said yesterday. It's a possibility to have thermic cars that are repaired and repaired and repaired. No, it's not that. It's just we want to be an inevitable actor in the world of automotive, to weigh on the design of the car, to modify in deep the deep design of the car and the way of designing and of constructing the cars, and to maintenance. So in 50 years maybe there will be cars with a label Revolt on them, and we hope that in less than 20 years all the manufacturers will call us to say, okay, we want to design the best car that is full of programmed perennity.
The funny and the most interesting thing is when we did project sourcing for Revolt and we interviewed them after pre-selection, I remember Raphael telling to me, you know, the whole thing with cars is at one point, it may be 100 years, but after that, we don't really want to exist because we want the world to be at a stage where, you know, we've passed that point of needing cars. So please give it up for these 2 fantastic projects before we go into a Q&A. So big round of applause for them. Okay, so now that we know a little bit about what you're doing, and we know both the projects have also raised money externally, as previously mentioned, what was the advantage, or I would say, the value addition for coming on to a launchpad like Cardashift? And the second question that I would like for both of you to answer is, in which part do you see tokenization play a role, especially for your core business?
Your turn.
Okay, good. We raised money before, right? But it was not on the same crowd. With Cardashift, we have access to an international crowd of a lot of investors really eager to find impact in their investments. But when you talk about reusable ecosystem, reusable containers, you need a whole infrastructure to create. You need to have reusable containers first, right? And a lot of them. You need to have collecting points everywhere in every cities, in every point of sales. And you need to have logistics company that will bring the containers to washing facilities. And all this infrastructure is needed for us to scale, basically, our system, our software system on it. What we aim to do is to tokenize every single part of this ecosystem, of this infrastructure, and to help and to have investors, international investors, the whole crowd of investors invest in this infrastructure in place of big corporates or in place of maybe some collectivities that can do so. So the main goal for us is to find new source of investment that will be profitable, because every time you own a reusable containers, all the money coming from the containers will be linked back to the investors thanks to the tokens. Same goes for collecting points, and to create this profitable infrastructure with you guys.
Thank you. Raphael?
We closed our seed round a few months ago, and it helped us to open the first workshops and to hire the team, to buy the stock of parts, to repair the cars, and also to train the first mechanics. And Cardashift is kind of jetpack for us to go to the next phase, which is for us very important to leverage a community of crypto evangelists, as you can say, and that will help us to figure out new business models. And what we think is we have two ways of thinking the tokenization. Cars are a huge amount of number of hours of design, of construction, numbers of kilograms of steel, of plastic, of electronics. It's also a number of kilometers, of kilowatts. So tokenization will be a certain way for us to avoid trashing cars in the junkyards, and also to be able, for example, to group purchase batteries or electricity storage. And it's also a way for us, a creative way for us to incentive the e-mechanics to be trained and to be motivated to transmit their knowledge to other people.
Thank you so much. Now this is the end of the session with our two winners of the very first Bass Genesis at Cardashift. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Trish.
Thank you very much.
Tell you a little bit more, this is just an example of the beginning, I would say. It's having a world where every single individual is an impact investor. Why can't I have 50 euros, put it into an ecosystem and say, I want to support and build the projects of the future? Now, why am I telling this to you? Is because I'm a citizen of today, but I'm also a citizen of the future. And being involved in Cardashift, where I am highly involved in sourcing projects, there are numerous people out there who are change makers and impact makers. Well, everybody here has the capacity to be an impact maker, but at Cardashift, our mission is also to enable anybody who wants to be a citizen investor to have the opportunity to do so. And we truly believe that tokenization, so in a way creating a structure where you can track the impact, measure the impact, as well as tokenize it, will allow us to get there. It is a tool. It is not a one-fit-all solution. But we're at the stage where we want to experiment. We want more actors to come and join on that mission with us. So just as I highlighted the example earlier with Uganda, we're also trying to expand our footprint. For the first batch Genesis, we had 6 environmental impact projects and we had 4 social impact projects. To tell you a little bit, we had 2 impact projects take the stage today, but we see a trend that's very relevant in the traditional world as well, which is a lot of social impact projects get lost because it's hard to kind of, I would say, put a metric and say this is exactly the value we created. Whereas on the environmental side, it's a molecule. CO2 emissions, easy to track, easy to measure. So while we're on that mission, we're also here to bridge a gap between these 2 worlds and make impact investing more accessible. And in that mission, we have a partner. Well, actually, we have multiple partners. But one partner that is present with us today is from the Cardano Foundation, with whom we also have a challenge to help fund social impact projects. Let me please introduce you to Alexandre Maaza, who's going to join us from the Cardano Foundation. He is the Outreach Development Officer, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about how to bridge real-world projects and blockchain technology. So a round of applause for Alex.
Hello, everyone.
Yay.
That's me. And I want to tell you a little bit more about Cardano. So what is Cardano? Essentially, it's a 3rd-generation blockchain technology that's trying to solve the blockchain trilemma of scalability, security, and decentralization by using robust, researched and engineered fundamentals. So Cardano is based on approximately 130 plus research papers to ensure that the blockchain network actually works for what it's meant to be working for, which is a new financial and operating system where we can represent incredibly valuable and important things like identity and other things related to value and governance. Now, if you know a little bit about blockchain, you'll see that these metrics are all looking quite peachy right now. And I'd like to bring your attention to 2 metrics in particular. One that relates to the number of transactions. And one key thing is on Cardano's accounting model, you can place transactions within transactions because it uses what is called an extended UTXO model. I'd also like to bring your attention to native tokens, which you'll see number in the 5 millions. And Cardano has a very distinct ability to hold native assets, which means that any asset that exists on the Cardano blockchain has the same security and fundamentals as ADA, which is our native cryptocurrency. Any new token that you might build on the Cardano blockchain does not need a smart contract. It simply exists on the blockchain exactly like Cardano's native cryptocurrency. And lastly, staked ADA. This is a liquid form of staking, which means that people that hold ADA, or Cardano's native cryptocurrency, can move it around at any point in time. Yet we see that traditionally it's around the 70% staking level. So when we think about sustainability at Cardano, of course we know that as a proof of stake blockchain that's verifiably secure, it's much more energy efficient than some other alternatives out there. But we consider sustainability beyond energy consumption, beyond environmental impact. And we think of sustainability through decentralization. In order to improve security, the network is secured by over 3,000 validators. And we also look at this through the notion of monetary policy, where with a hard cap of 45 billion ADA, you have a portion that is going towards the security of the network by paying out staking rewards, as well as contributing to a decentralized treasury, which we'll speak about in a minute, that actually contributes to the development and adoption of the Cardano blockchain. And most importantly, this is sustainability through governance. as a massive system of value that is decentralized and governed by its owners of stake. This value has to be governed in an appropriate fashion. And so we've started a journey where the Cardano blockchain is going to be governed by its community. And to do so, what we typically have started doing is an experiment in this governance, which we call Project Catalyst. And this is something that Trish has alluded to, and the Cardashift team will speak on a little bit later. Project Catalyst is possibly one of the world's largest decentralized innovation funds. What it allows the community to do is to draw grant funding from a decentralized treasury fed by transaction fees and a reserve. And this treasury is approximately, at this point in time, $500 million worth of ADA that currently resides. And every 3 months, you will go through a grant funding cycle where challenges that have been posted and voted on by the community in the previous fund will then be taken up by community members, solutions will be offered and voted on thereafter. And this experiment, bear in mind, only started in early 2021. The most recent fund that closed is Fund 8 with $16 million worth of ADA, and Fund 9, which is currently ongoing and in which Cardashift is participating as a native, this will be explained a little bit more now, is worth $60 million too. You have massive participation across different countries, and more importantly, you have this diversity and this decentralization of thought and action. So typically you introduce yourself first, but this is the Cardano Foundation. This is what we stand for, and this is what we work on. We're a Swiss-based nonprofit, and what we're looking to do beyond what's stated in the pillars above in terms of adoption, legislative standards, etc., is really to position Cardano as a blockchain for good, in the sense that blockchain is a technology that can empower many people that look like us, that live like us, or that don't, and exist in other places than Viva Tech and the rest of the world. And so what we'd like to see is really an adoption that allows people everywhere to have better access to value, identity, and governance. One of the projects that really allows us to tie blockchain and the crypto ecosystem with the real world, the world that we hope to live in one day if we don't spoil it altogether, is veritree. Now, veritree is a Canadian company which was initially called, which is actually a spin-off of a company called 10 Tree. What they typically did is plant 10 trees per item of clothing that you would purchase from them. Simple. But how do you prove that impact? How do you prove to your donors, which eventually became corporations, how do you prove to them that you are actually planting these trees? How do you prove that these trees still exist? Now, veritree had a very specific way of doing impact. They would use auditors, and they would make sure that the social environmental impact of reforestation is real and permanent. They realized that this was simply too expensive to scale, and what they ended up doing is creating a IoT/human intelligence service that uses blockchain technology in order to prove impact. And what we did with them is challenge the Cardano community to see if we really cared as a community about impact. And within 3 months, we raised enough to plant 1 million trees that are verifiably planted using things like tokens to prove donations, using things like NFTs to prove plantation, and to then use that as an actor that has planted trees to see where these trees are planted, if they're still alive, and in what condition they are. So what veritree solves in terms of double spending, in terms of transparency, in terms of community involvement, these are all issues that many other verticals and many other value chains have as challenges. And of course, this is what blockchain technology, what tokenization can enable startups, but can also enable more traditional actors to kind of shift their thinking and involve broader swathes of people to really solve these urgent challenges that need to be solved by 2030, according to the UN, and let's hope we can actually do that. So with that, I think I'll end, and thanks, Trish, for having me.
Actually, I'm not going to let you go off so easy.
Okay.
So you're going to stay here because you drop a lot of words, which, we work in that ecosystem, we understand. But for the audience, let's do a rapid fire, and this will last for 2 minutes.
Okay.
Are you ready? Because it's very rarely we get like blockchain people like sit here and explain things to us.
Okay, wait. Just a quick thing. Who here knows about crypto? If you could just lift your hand. Okay. Who here has been in this ecosystem since this year? Okay, news. Hey, awesome.
Cool. Who's been in the ecosystem since the beginning? Let's just say 2017, 2018.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Okay. Another thing. NFTs. Who knows about NFTs here? Okay.
Who thinks NFTs can be used for more than art? This is brilliant.
There you go. That's the spirit we wanted. Okay.
Tell me.
Another question. Do all of you know what a token is? Or what it means to tokenize? Yes? Hands up. Great.
We've
no?
got experts.
Little bit, do you have an idea of what it means? Like a token to tokenize? Hands up. Great. For the benefit of it all, why don't you tell them, what is a token first? Then you move on to saying, how can we use these tokens for good? In 30 seconds, because you saw the pulse of the audience, and you mentioned a real-world example, but I know you're a huge advocate of blockchain for sustainability, so I want your personal point of view on it, and take the stage for this.
So tokens are digital representations of value, right? And that value can come in many different forms, and tokenization allows us to give value to things that we traditionally perhaps struggled to account for. When it comes to tokenization on Cardano, the key thing here is native assets. It allows people to create a token that has exactly the same security, exactly the same fundamentals, exactly the same way that you would transact it as the native cryptocurrency that exists on Cardano called ADA. So for example, if you wanted to do a Trish coin that represents some form of value for your fan club, which is obviously in this crowd, this would be treated in exactly the same way as the native cryptocurrency, which means that you do not have to deal with the complexity of a smart contract and everything that comes with that. When that comes to impact, and I'll use the example perhaps of veritree, I'll explain the process flow a little bit, and you'll see how tokenization comes into it. So, I'll explain my journey because this is what I did. So veritree launched their initial tree offering to fundraise for 1 million trees. And they offered different tiers, and you would be donating in ADA. The amount of ADA you donated, you would receive a redemption token called trees. So if you donated 100 ADA, you would receive 100 trees, which represents the fact that 1 ADA, 1 tree. So I know this, and this is great. And then, a little bit later down the line, veritree is going to plant these trees. And veritree refuses to take my tree redemption token up until they've planted the tree, because they want to make sure that they don't get called out for front-running tree planting. So we waited a little bit, and earlier this year they started planting trees, and they opened up what is called redemption periods. What that enabled them to do is plant the trees and tell people like me to redeem my tree token for a planting certificate. On that planting certificate, you have information of how many trees I donated to, where they're specifically located in terms of geographic area, who planted them, by whom this was verified, and this all exists in the blockchain. So what tokenization also allows you to do, besides a very clear process flow for funds from my pocket into veritrees, into the planters, and then the reception of the impact, which is the tree that's been planted, it also allows you as a third party to actually understand what is actually happening on the blockchain, to have this inclusive accountability, this ability to openly take a look at what is happening on this public permissionless blockchain to see, is veritree actually planting trees? How many trees is veritree planting? Because this is something that you're actually tracing as well.
Fantastic. And moving from that, let's go to the real world and let's bring another partner that we love collaborating with. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
And so if you have any more Cardano blockchain related questions, you know who to find. And we do have a networking session, so go find Alex in the blue shirt, and then he will answer all your questions. But we're also here as well. So now to transition, let me invite on stage David. So David Berners is the Global Director as well as Product Strategy for Unis Social Business. And here's our real-world actor who will share with you what are the challenges that they face in trying to, socialize impact. And with that, let me give the floor to David.
Thank you. Hello together. So my name is David. At Unis Social Business, we have a mission which is scaling social businesses. So making them grow. And whilst I say social businesses, I mean, let's start maybe with a definition of what a social business is in our sense of the definition. So for us, a social business is a business that is focused 100% on solving an issue, which can be a societal issue, which can also be an environmental issue, for instance, an educational issue, or can be avoiding CO2 emissions, for instance. So there are two things there which are already at this stage for me important to tell you. That's the number 100, and that's the notion of business. So as compared to any NGO that would use donations and give out or do positive impact with that donation, here we're looking at a company which is applying a business approach to solve a problem. So typically that would be a company like any company in the world, which has customers, which has suppliers, which has a whole ecosystem around it, like financing entities and so on. And
David?
Yeah.
You
Still
need to hold
louder?
the mic up. Yeah, you need to be loud, man.
So we're looking at the business here, and it's really a business approach to solve the issue. It's not a donation, not a charitable approach in this sense. So in this sense, three things are really different when you look at social businesses towards traditional investments or traditional companies. First of all, these are businesses that exist to solve the problem. They are not there to solve or to make money. That means that they optimize for impact creation, and they wouldn't optimize for shareholder value creation. That's a very important first thing. The second thing is, whenever there is some kind of profit that is generated by that business, because it's still a business approach, 100% of that profit would be reinvested into the company to further grow the company. And whilst the company is growing, obviously the social and the environmental impact will also grow. So that's the second important thing. And the third thing, which is the main differentiator of a social business towards a traditional business, is actually that the value it creates is not sitting on the balance sheet of the company. That means that if we're looking at a company, for instance, like the one you mentioned in the beginning, that is producing ceramic water filters, it might be operating at cost, because at the end, you want your filters to be accessible for a broad range of people at the bottom of the pyramid. And so you wouldn't optimize for the margin of your product. You would optimize for the cost and, let's say, the price of the product, price towards the lower end, actually. So you wouldn't make huge profits for your shareholders. Does that mean that you as a company wouldn't create value? Definitely not, because you have saved thousands of people from drinking polluted water, actually. So that value is not sitting at the balance sheet level. That value is sitting outside there in the environment. It's sitting outside there in the society. That's a very important thing to remember here when we start talking about social businesses. So, as I said, our mission at Yunus Social Business is to grow these businesses. So actually two things, two ingredients for growth that we look at is patient capital. So it's simply money to grow, because as they are sitting on the fence of profitability, they wouldn't have a lot of let's say, capital that would allow them to exponentially grow and quickly grow, and then with that scale their impact. So they need people, investors that are willing to invest that capital to grow them and grow the impact with them. So you can imagine a company like this, where you look at the balance sheet, and a traditional financial institution like a bank looks at them and looks at the balance sheet and say, well, you're not investing, you're not optimizing for your margin, you don't want to do any profit. So obviously the bank looks very strangely at them and says, you won't have a loan, or you would have the loan at percentages or interest rates which are just prohibitive for them to grow. So they are lacking what we call the missing, suffering from what we call the missing middle. So mostly when they grow, they rely in the beginning on their communities around them to scale and to grow. So that would be friends, would be family, would be like the real users also sometimes of the services they bring to the society. And that's also a very important notion. So that's the end beneficiaries actually around them, the community investors that invest into them. But that's, in these countries, in the developing countries, quite a difficult thing. So they would be able to raise some capital, but they soon hit what we call a glass ceiling in that sense. And then on the other side, they are not ready yet to engage into really commercial bank loans and so on. So there's a missing middle there that we, as an investor, try to plug. And that's the first ingredient we're talking about. The second ingredient is actually the growth support, which is that when you look at these companies, a bit like you would see that in VC or angel investing, so the investor brings a lot of value in terms of knowledge, expertise, networking, and whatever. And traditionally these companies in the environments in which they are operating, they do not have this access through their communities. That means that they are relying on people and investors that bring more than just money. They bring expertise and all these kind of growth ingredients which are non-financial to them. That's the second very important element, I think, when we look at social businesses and growing them and growing the impact, their positive impact.
And I think, that brings me to the question of, would tokenization be able to limit this issue? And, how do you think that, this could change things? And what's been your thoughts? Or we know we've been kind of thinking this through. So could you possibly lend an answer to that?
Sure. So the way we think about it, and I think, first of all, I really appreciate the opportunity to think aloud with you guys on what these real life projects could mean for your world and vice versa. I think this knowledge and experience exchange is so important now. So the way we look at it is, first of all, to come back to that notion of capturing the value, the non-financial value, which is not sitting on the balance sheet of these companies. So tokens could be a solution, I think, definitely. And we've heard Alex and the others speak about that, and that's basically how the whole thing has been built around Cardano, and which is at the same time the issues we see with social businesses, that so much value is created, but it's not actually captured. So here, I take the example of Spouts of Waters back that you had in the beginning, which is a company we invested into, which, by the way, just graduated from our portfolio. We're really happy about that. So that's a company, again, they have been optimizing for impact and not for financial value in the sense of traditional investments. So usually when you in the developing countries use water or try to sterilize water, you would make a fire and then actually boil the water to clean it. So there's a lot of CO2 emissions, and also that costs to just have the firewood and so. So that that's obviously having a negative impact. By just having a ceramic filter, you would actually scrap a lot of these issues. So that's actually the value. So we helped this particular firm to convert this positive value using carbon credits into a revenue stream for them. So that's basically a way where we have been able to monetize the positive impact that these social businesses have been creating, and somehow also tokenize it in a way where the credit would be a token. So that's a very practical use case. And when you now look at this company, most of the revenues or most of the financial value that greatly helps the company to grow further comes from this source. So actually that's for us a huge opportunity then when we look at it and say, well, okay, let's capture the value that these companies create, but in a different way. You see? So tokens could be theoretically something to look at in that sense. The next thing is coming back to that patient capital kind of problem that I mentioned just before. Today we look at a world where in the developing countries in which we invest, there are myriads of different entrepreneurs that have brilliant ideas. And the only thing they lack is really those two ingredients. On the other side, we're looking at a stack of capital sitting in mostly the Western world, which is willing to access these opportunities for investment.
Yep.
So the question is, how can we build a bridge from left to right and have a bit of hand-holding to go there? So tokens, in this sense, can help the investor access these opportunities, and on the other hand, help the entrepreneurs access the capital. So that's the second use case, and the third one I think is one which is relating to the fact that if you're an impact investor, you are more than just a financial investor, mostly. So you're providing capital to these firms, yes, but it is not an unemotional investment for you because you care about something. When you do the choice to invest into a company like this, you will give up some of the financial return. So there's always a reason why you would give up on the financial return, whether it is because I care about the education or because I care about the environment or I care about clean streets and less waste on the streets in India. There is something you care about. Yep. That means that combined with what I told you just before about the growth support these need, like the investor needs to be more than just somebody that gives money, is something that makes us think about how can tokens maybe with the token utilities also contribute in a way where we can make the investor a citizen investor, which is on the one hand benefiting of the work of the that is provided by the social business, but on the other hand, how can we maybe even bring in its expertise in selecting the right projects or in helping with expertise which sits in at whatever level, technical level or whatever, into these projects. So provide the growth support. So that's what I would call here the investor engagement. So we have a means here with the token utilities to make them a real active player in the ecosystem of impact investor, and just somebody that would give money. So that's I think also something that can be hugely impactful. And that whole thing is also related then to trust, where I think veritree is a very good example where actually you have a traceability of your impact whilst generating it, and then giving that level of trust to the investor that he gets something back which is maybe not financial but which is non-financial and captured in a very secure and trusted way.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, three ways which are greatly important for the industry which is impact investing today, and it's totally worth thinking aloud about these use cases, I think, with you guys. And that would be my take about how these two worlds fit together.
Yeah, and just to tell you a bit to the audience as well, like I just had breakfast with David this morning, and we were talking about, well, very much the idea of citizen investor, but how do you take this mess? Like, I know a lot of these wallets and the way to access is seeing like it's a bubble. Very few people are in that space where they know about it. And we were talking of if this was to go mass, what would it take? And it would take a movement. And I guess we're trying to be part of that, but we're...
Yeah, absolutely. I always used to say that impact investing is not heroes running around like in Marvel movies. It's a team sport, really much. So we need to make it a mass movement. That's really what we need.
Yeah. David also has another interesting face, which is impact investing is the champagne of investing. So we're just trying to make this a lot more accessible. And with that, thank you, David. And just to let you know, we love collaborating with the Unisocial business as well, because we get perspectives from the field, from the real world, and we really want to bridge the gap. So having a partner think aloud with us on such topics is a great way of learning from each other. So thank you, David, and let's give a huge round of applause.
Thank you.
So let's get to the last phase of this workshop. And just to pick off where David left, we're trying to link tokenization and social businesses. And we think it could be a captivating and an engaging way to spur investment. So the association of blockchain technology with social and environmental projects is an exploratory phase right now. We call upon you to come, collaborate with us, think out loud. And that's the reason why we're having this workshop be open. So we are relying on a citizen-based model, but to kind of give you a bigger picture of how you can come, be part of this model and story, you already are. But how can you actively engage? I'm going to call upon another fellow core contributor to the Cardashift ecosystem and the lead for investor relations, Yannis Bala. Woo!
Thanks, Trish.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Oh, I'm here also. So yeah, really happy to be here this afternoon. I hope you are not too sleepy. We'll just finish with some wrap-up about the different speeches we had today, and also present you our new ambition, our new structure for the future, and how you can contribute to it. So basically, if I do a quick wrap-up, notably about what have been said by our two projects, by David, by Alex, we've seen that we have like two sides on this slide. So first of all, on one side, we have citizens who want to contribute to build the world of tomorrow. We have also investment funds which want to go towards like more impact investing. But the problem is that it's kind of complicated to be connected to highly transformative projects. So when I speak about highly transformative projects, I think, for example, of the social businesses of David. I'm thinking of you guys also, Ben and Raphael. And the value proposition we want to have to this problem statement is the following. Our idea is that today we have an amazing tech opportunity, which is a token provided by the blockchain technology. And through this token, we want to enable these citizen investors and these investment funds to share a common ambition and to be connected to the highly transformative project we've been talking about. And today, we are mostly speaking about startups and social businesses. But tomorrow, this project will also be like big industrial projects in the energy field, in the mobility field, and it will enable us to have like a citizen support on each big project that is building the world of tomorrow. And to carry out this amazing ambition, we want also to have a big structure. So we need, for each project, to have the structures that will enable this project to cover its needs. So let's take some example. Today we have a launchpad, and this launchpad, we have Ben and Raphael getting out of the launchpad, is adapted to startups, so to like really early stage projects. And the ambition with the launchpad we have in our roadmap is to make it accessible beyond the Web3 communities. So like, for example, what if tomorrow we can buy the token of Pixo or Revolt with a credit card? Then we have a lending platform for emerging countries. So when we talk about the social businesses of David, Sports of the Water, for example, it's really interesting for these kind of businesses in emerging countries to have access to a whole new community of investors. And this lending platform could be the solution. And I think the most ambitious one is the late one, so the impact token marketplace. So it's really what Trish has been talking about how we can monetize impact. And today we've seen that, notably with the founder of WeWork, we have amazing project in terms of carbon credits, blockchain-based marketplace. But tomorrow we can do it for social impact also, or for any kind of impact. And that's maybe the most ambitious part of our roadmap. And of course, we want to be profitable, because we are here for profit businesses first. And the idea is like for each brick of this infrastructure to have its own business model and to have the possibility to bring into the table our own partners. So for example, we can do the lending with Yunus Social Business, and we can do, for example, a part of the impact token marketplace with other institutions that want to join the dance. And to finish, I think that's, as Trish said, we have like a citizen movement ambition. And to concretize it, what we want to do is to transform our organization into a decentralized organization led by citizens, and enabling like every project that came out from this whole organization to be supported by a community of citizens. So that's clearly our ambition. And let me be a little bit American on that. Let's say that our ambition is really to unleash a real-world impact with this project with a profitable model.
Yeah, and you want to clap? No, please clap, please clap. We need it. By the way, our token is also clap, so if you're wondering why I make you clap every single time, it's just because I can say it over and over again. But no, just before I take the stage and let Yannis off, do you want to tell us a little bit more about how we unleash this real-world impact?
Yeah.
Concretely.
I like the word unleash. So yeah, concretely, if you want to be part of the story with us, you have already a few options. So the first option is with our friends Ben and Raphael. So upcoming private and public sale will be here, I think, in a few weeks. So for the 2 Bad Genesis winner, so you can participate in it. Then we have also a white paper in preparation with Yunus Social Business about this huge topic of impact valuation, and more can be coming. And finally, we'll have a treasury in this DAO, so decentralized organization, and we'll need support in this treasury. So if you're a citizen, if you're a fund, you can completely join the treasury and be part of it. So thanks for listening to me. Thanks, Trish, for hosting that.
Thank you so much.
You've been amazing, as always. And yeah, let's have a cocktail in a few minutes.
Before we do that, everybody, please get your cell phones out. No, seriously, get your cell phones out. Thank you. Are you ready? No, I need it. Up. Everybody, come on, let's do it. Okay, scan this. Please come hang out with us. And you can also have a great cocktail right there. Just before we end, I see the world in terms of Lego pieces. I think all of us are like Lego pieces, some cubes, some rectangles, some in different shapes, colors, sizes. But we build upon each other, we build next to each other, and we build together. So come hang out and let's learn from each other. Thank you so much for joining us today. And a huge round of applause to everybody present here as well. Clap. Thank you.